Have you ever really stopped to look at the device in your pocket? I mean, it's not just a phone, is it? It's your camera, your map, a library. Really, your connection to the whole world. So let's dive into the incredible journey of how we got from a simple whisper down a wire to the supercomputers that we carry around with us everywhere.
Long before any of this technology existed, the dream was super simple, but also really profound. To just collapse distance. To send a thought, a feeling, your voice, instantly to someone far away, instead of, waiting weeks for a letter to arrive. This basic human need for connection, that's the real origin story of the phone.
So that's the big question, right? How did that ancient dream become this solid reality in your pocket? The path from a clunky wooden box to a sleek piece of glass, well, it wasn't exactly a straight line, but every single step was revolutionary. Let's trace that path, starting from the very, very beginning.
Okay, so the first giant leap wasn't about wireless signals or fancy touchscreens. Nope, it was about something much more fundamental, figuring out how to conquer a simple wire and make a human voice travel right through it.
It all kicks off in 1876 with Alexander Graham Bell and his groundbreaking invention. But here's the thing, one phone is just a cool gadget. A network of phones, now that's a revolution. And to make that happen, you needed a whole new kind of infrastructure. These huge, complex buildings called switching centers, which basically became the nerve centers for this brand new technology.
In the very beginning, there was no such thing as dialing a number. You'd pick up the phone and talk to a real person, a switchboard operator. They were like the original social network, the human processors who manually plugged in cables to connect you to whoever you wanted to talk to. This wasn't just some job. It was one of the first major tech professions open to women. And for decades, every single conversation happening over the phone depended entirely on them.
All right, so with that basic infrastructure in place, the next chapter was all about scale. The telephone started its big march from being a novelty for businesses into the very heart of society, our homes.
And this was a massive, massive shift for society. All of a sudden, families could stay in touch across the country, businesses could operate way faster, and the world just felt smaller. But this new, constant connection had one major limitation: that physical cord tethering you to the wall. You were connected, sure, but you couldn't move an inch.
And that, of course, brings us to the next great obsession: cutting the cord. The dream evolved. It wasn't just about sending your voice across a distance anymore. It was about sending it from absolutely anywhere. This was the big quest for true mobility.
The first mobile phones in the 80s were, well, they were comically huge. They were these expensive bricks that were pure status symbols, not really practical tools. The real revolution came from companies like Nokia. They totally cracked the code. They made phones that were small, incredibly durable. I mean, you could drop those things a dozen times and had batteries that just lasted for days. This wasn't just about portability. It was about democratizing communication for everyone, putting a reliable connection in every single pocket.
The next step, well, it wasn't just an improvement. It was a complete reinvention of the whole idea. This was the moment the phone stopped being just a phone and became, well, everything else.
You see, the smartphone wasn't born in a vacuum. Its real power, its magic, came from being this point of convergence. It fused three totally separate technological revolutions into one single device. Just think about it. First, you have the internet, a global library of all information. Second, you have the mobile network, letting you connect from anywhere. And third, you have the digital camera, capturing moments in high definition. Before the smartphone, these were all separate things. The true genius was combining them. Suddenly, you could do things that were basically unimaginable before. Take a photo, and in that same instant, share it with the entire world. You could be standing on any street corner and access any piece of information ever recorded. This wasn't just a better phone. It fundamentally created entirely new ways for us to behave.
So we've come from a simple wire to literally having a world in our pocket. The evolution has been absolutely breathtaking. But here's the thing, it's not over, not by a long shot. So where does this incredible journey take us from here?
The next frontiers are already starting to take shape. We're seeing devices that literally change their form, with foldable screens that turn a phone into a tablet right in your hands. Artificial intelligence is evolving from just being a simple feature into a core assistant that actually anticipates our needs, not just responds to them. And then there's the much more radical idea, technology that doesn't just sit in our pocket, but actually starts to merge with our bodies.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating final question to think about. As these devices get smarter and more personal and more integrated into our lives, that line between us and our technology just keeps getting blurrier. So what do you think?
Is the final step in this long journey for the phone to become an actual, literal part of us?